Good evening from Des Moines and welcome to another edition of MTV Daily. Just under 72 hours before the first doors open at the Iowa caucuses, and we seem to have a potential January surprise on our hands. What has been the routine monthly release of Hillary Clinton's State Department emails has a bit of a head-turning headline today. The State Department says that 22 emails from 7 different email chains will be withheld from public release at the request of U.S. intelligence officials because they contain top secret information. Here's State Department spokesman John Kirby just a short while ago.
I can confirm that as part of this monthly FOIA production of former Secretary Clinton's emails, the State Department will be denying in full 7 email chains found in 22 documents representing 37 pages. The documents are being upgraded at the request of the intelligence community because they contain a category of top secret information. These documents were not marked classified at the time that they were sent.
And there's the important quote there that the Clinton campaign talks about, not marked classified at the time. Clinton campaign responded swiftly with a statement from spokesman Brian Fallon that read in part, quote, "We firmly oppose the complete blocking of the release of these emails. Since first providing her emails to the State Department more than 1 year ago, Hillary Clinton has urged that they may be made available to the public. We feel no differently today. This appears to be over-classification run amok. We will pursue all appropriate avenues to see that her emails are released in a manner consistent with her call last year." Fallon then added this while appearing on MSNBC a short while ago.
We believe that this judgment to withhold 22 emails from public release, despite Hillary Clinton's call for all of her emails to be released, is happening at the behest of other agencies in the government who have hijacked the process that's been taking place for the last several months.
In addition to those 7 email chains being withheld for top secret information, Kirby also announced that emails from 8 additional chains will be withheld not as a result of classification, but because of the law that governs the release of presidential documents. That's because they're emails that happen to be between Secretary Clinton and President Obama. Remember, Hillary Clinton's chief rival, Bernie Sanders himself, was the one who seemed to diffuse the email issue, at least in the Democratic primaries, the most back in the first Democratic presidential debate.
Let me say something that may not be great politics, but I think the Secretary is right. And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
Clinton herself was actually asked about the email situation earlier this week. Here's how she responded.
Well, apologizing sooner, as soon as you can. But part of the problem, and I would just say this as not an excuse, but just as an explanation, when you're facing something like that, you got to get the facts, and it takes time to get the facts. And so when I said, hey, take all my emails, make them public, that had never been done before, ever, by anybody. And so we've been sorting our way through this because it is kind of a unique situation. I'm happy people are looking at the emails. Some of them are, you know, frankly, a little embarrassing. You know, you find out that sometimes I'm not the best on technology and things like that. But look, I think it's great. Let people sort them through. And as we have seen, there is a lot of interest, but it's something that took time to get done.
But it is this release of the whole issue of now something being classified as top secret after the fact that comes just 72 hours before the caucuses. Joining me now is a Hillary Clinton supporter. He happens to also be a cabinet secretary, Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack, former governor here. Hello, sir.
Hey, Chuck, nice to be back home.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome home. I was just in your real home in Mount Pleasant a few hours ago, but let me start with this email situation. 72 hours before the caucuses. It is, obviously we don't know what has been marked top secret, and sometimes when you don't know what it is, people's imaginations go right to something nefarious.
Not in the caucus. Look, caucus goers understand and appreciate what this is. The timing of it is quite suspect. The reality is,
you believe it is designed potentially to hurt her chances on Monday?
There's no question about that, and there's no question that these were marked classified after the fact. So this is not what people are going to be talking about on Monday night. They're going to be talking about substance abuse and mental illness and jobs and the economy and what the future of foreign policy of this country is going to be. They're not going to be talking about this nonsense.
Well, I was just at a Bernie Sanders event in your where you were mayor, Mount Pleasant, way back when, before you were governor, and he's bringing up the issue of electability. And he's saying, I know people want to say I'm not electable. and he says, and he goes through some polls. When you talk to some caucus goers that are not for Hillary, they bring up, and they just said other stuff or baggage or this or that. The reminder of this is not good for that argument.
Chuck,
no?
the great thing about Secretary Clinton is that all that the Republicans have been doing for the last several years is out there. We know what they're going to do. We're ready for it. We're prepared for it. It's not going to be an issue. At the end of the day, what is going to be an issue is who's in the best position to fight for American families, who's in the best position to lead America's place in the world. And I think there's no question about that in terms of her experience and in terms of what she's been talking about on the campaign trail. She's the best person to be president of the United States.
All right. Why is this close?
Well, look, this is Iowa, man.
I know, but
we got a lot of progressive people in Iowa in the Democratic Party.
74-year-old socialist, not even technically a registered Democrat, and he has made this a race.
Well, as you saw from the Iowa poll, 43% of Democrats in Iowa self-identify themselves as socialists. So there you have the 43% that are Sanders supporters. Look, this has been a good race, and it's been a substantive race. Hats off to all three candidates compared to what we're seeing on the other side, which is more of a carnival, more of a circus. This has been a substantive debate about the future of this country, and I think at the end of the day, our nominee is going to be better for it. I think Hillary will be in a better position to make the case, in contrast to Donald Trump or whoever the Republicans ultimately nominate, to be able to say that she is in the best position to finally crack that glass ceiling and shatter it once and for all.
You know, sometimes it is tough to run on continuity. Is she running too much on that? Too much of saying, I'm going to build on President Obama? Is that why there's some anti-Democrats that say, no, we need something bolder, we need something bigger?
Look, what we need is progress. We need a continuation to build on the foundation the president has laid in terms of the economy and in terms of America's place in the world. We do need continuity. We don't want to take a step back. We don't want to go back to the policies of 8 years ago, which were disastrous. So she's absolutely right. She's going to build on a solid foundation. It's a good, solid, democratic, progressive foundation.
You're the last cabinet secretary from the beginning. What's that feel like? You're going to be the only, well, I assume, let's, knock on wood here, right? I guess all 8 years.
Well, how
does that feel?
In my particular position, the continuity is important because we've been able to drive down the message of the importance of rural America. Mm-hmm. One of the good things about this particular caucus campaign in the Democratic side is we're speaking to rural voters for the first time, and I think that's an important opportunity for us.
It's interesting you bring that up with rural voters. The gun issue, it cuts both ways in rural Iowa, doesn't it?
It does, but the issue that's really on the minds of a lot of people in rural areas is an issue that Hillary brought up first, which is this issue of substance abuse and mental illness. There's a tremendous issue here that we have not talked about as a country. This presidential campaign is going to make sure that it's on the top, and President Obama is very, very committed to getting that foundation laid on that issue as well.
Both Iowa and New Hampshire voters, I think, have put that on the agenda. Anyway, Secretary Vilsack, I'm going to let you go. Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
It's great to be in Iowa.
Good to see you.
All right. Well, we'll get reaction to more of this Clinton news. It's starting to come in from the Republican presidential candidates. According to the Washington Post, Dave Weigel, Senator Rand Paul said, quote, this disregard for national security should forever preclude her from being president. Well, Senator Rand Paul joins me now on the phone. Senator Paul, I know you're on the trail right now. Let me start with this. You're a guy that normally doesn't want to see somebody judged before we have all the facts. Do you feel like you have all the facts in on this to make the judgment you just made on Secretary Clinton?
I'm not making a legal judgment. I'm making a political judgment that she doesn't have the wisdom to be commander-in-chief. I've said that with regard to Benghazi, where I didn't think she provided adequate security or made the right and correct decisions that commander-in-chief would have to make. But I also think here that, we now have emails that 22 of them are so sensitive they can't even be released to the public. Also, she disciplined and removed an ambassador who did exactly what she did. And I think do as I say, not as I do isn't a great example. But really, national security is an important component of what she is trying to say is her asset. And I think this really turns it on its head, the fact that she did something probably many would say is much worse than what General Petraeus did. And so I would say that she needs to be judged equally, under the same light as General Petraeus.
Let me talk about last night's debate, and I thought in an observation that I had of watching you actually the last couple of debates, you seem to be channeling Janis Joplin, as if freedom means you have nothing left to lose. You seem to be back on your libertarian roots, pushing more, you just seem a little more comfortable on stage. Is that just me noticing that, or have you sort of changed your focus on this campaign toward the last days?
I think it's just that you may have forgotten I wasn't on the stage. I was more noticeable this time because I was actually on the stage. But
Fair enough.
No, I think over time I've gotten more time on the stage. I really don't think I've changed an iota of what I stand for or talk about since I started running for office in 2009. But I do think that I've gotten a little more time on the stage to express myself. And last night, there was more time. I think the debate got into more details and more serious details and less sort of, calling people ugly, fat, or stupid. I think we didn't have to waste too much time on the Twitter king.
Do you think this was a sort of almost like a episode of The Twilight Zone? We saw what the campaign would have been like if Donald Trump hadn't run?
Well, to me, it was sort of a win-win. Being on the stage is obviously a great win and a great privilege for me to present my message. But also not having him there made it, I think, the debate a more enlightened debate. And so, no, I think it was good to the country. And I'm advising him to continue to have his own rallies and skip the rest of the debates.
One of the things I've noticed, Senator, when talking to some Trump supporters, is quite a few of them espouse libertarian views when I talk to them. And quite a few of them talked about you as their second choice. How much do you feel as if Trump has sort of somehow gotten the liberty vote away from you in a way that maybe you didn't expect or others didn't expect?
I'm not sure if that's true or not. I mean, when we talk to liberty voters, they're people who are very much opposed to the NSA collecting all of our phone records. Trump has come out really in favor of aggressive NSA stance. We are people who don't believe that the government should be, making the sand blow or carpet bombing over there because we think you may well create more terrorists than you kill. Also, the liberty people are big on auditing the Fed, things that nobody else on the stage has been for. So I don't know. We think we have a unique aspect and a unique presentation of philosophy that really doesn't go. The other thing that I think is diametrically opposed to Trump would be that we think power corrupts and that we don't want an all-powerful president that says they'll fix everything. We're concerned that too much power can be a corrupting influence.
All right, Senator Palm, I'll leave it there. Stay safe on the trail. Watch out for black ice, and we'll see you over the weekend.
All right, thanks, Jack.